This is these are the visuals actually of the reception being hosted by the German president there. You can see this is all part of the celebrations of the 20 years of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Lots of visiting dignitaries there, Angela Merkel there, receiving visitors, and this is all part of the official celebrations. Of course, there's a concert happening in Berlin as well, and earlier Gorbachev and Václav Havel were there with Angela Merkel. Sarkozy, in fact, also there. Big moment for Europe, actually, a time that Europe became united, and really the beginning of united Europe, and the end of the Cold War, the end of the Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc, the end of that division that had bedeviled the world for decades. Welcome back to Face the Nation, and the question we're asking you on the show: 20 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall, is the triumph of capitalism a good thing? Carry on with your voting, and we'll carry on with our discussion. Nik Gowing, from your interactions with East European leaders, do you get a sense that there's a sense of regret that the wholehearted embrace of capitalism perhaps is something that they are not comfortable with? Perhaps they're not comfortable, as you were saying earlier, with the freedom, with the free market, or is there a feeling that no, this was the right thing to do?
There's no regret. I was actually at a reunion. You mentioned former Czech President Václav Havel. I was with him last week. He happened to be in London, reflecting on this very question. Absolutely no regrets. Still some regrets, though, about the way it's implemented itself, with political pluralism, with the way things have worked out. Some people are poorer than they might have been under communism because that's the way the economy has gone. But enormous relief that the yoke of central control and the lack of political pluralism has been removed. And 20 years on, and if you remember, we're now celebrating 20 years after the Berlin Wall came down. A few weeks later, there was a revolution in Czechoslovakia, then in Romania, when President Ceausescu and his wife were summarily executed. I mean, this was not the end of it. There was still communism. And when you look at Romania, one of the latest new members of the European Union,
right,
and you look at Bulgaria, and you look at what's happening there, and the way there is wealth trickling down. Mobile phones are now made in these countries because the labour is actually quite cheap. In Czechoslovakia, before it became the Czech Republic, and Slovakia, that's where a lot of cars started being made by Volkswagen. They started setting up, and so it went on. All of this has been a cascade down of the economic system, and many, many people have benefited in a way which none of them, perhaps 20 years ago, could ever have conceived of.
So, in fact, that's a question to put to you, D. Raja, that in fact, there is no question in the minds of at least leaders in Eastern Europe that this is a model of development that has worked. There is no hankering for the communist model at all. Do you think that in India, the opening up of the economy in 1991 happened precisely as fast as it did because of the end of the communist alternative? In Brazil, in India, there was a feeling that this alternative was dead. This alternative was not going to work out. So let's go for free market reforms. It hastened India's reforms. It created a domino effect all over the world.
I do not agree with you at all. All the time you are repeating and insisting that the end of communism and the communist model has failed.
What it was the end of the alternative is what I'm saying.
No, you are saying repeatedly, but let me put it clearly. Capitalism as a system has been proved to be inhuman, parasitic and brutal. And I agree, this democracy and socialism must be understood in a proper perspective. The struggle for genuine democracy and the struggle for socialism cannot be separated. And as Marxists, we understand this. This is what Lenin has said. This is what Marx has said. In fact, Marx spoke about the final, complete liberation of the entire mankind from all kinds of exploitations and enslavements. And that is the dialectical development of society, and history cannot go back, and capitalism is a transitory stage. It is a temporary stage. It cannot be a permanent one and perpetual one. And people talk about system. Communism killed so many people. Who bombed Nagasaki, Hiroshima? Who killed thousands of people in Japan? Who killed thousands of people in Europe or now in the Middle East? Who ravaged Iraq? Who ravaged Afghanistan?
Gurcharan Das,
now who has been building
let me get you in here.
apartheid walls in Palestine?
Let me get Gurcharan Das.